Hey friends, Krista Moreland here with K More Macro, and I wanted to chat with you a little bit today about two things that are kind of the same. They're similar. One, we are definitely into flu and cold season, so people are sick. My clients are emailing me almost every single day that they are down for the count and sick, sick, sick. And then two, I have a bunch of clients who are pregnant. So it must be the season. I don't know, but that's great. Congratulations, super excited. But the two are very similar, right? You're too sick to fill your macros because you have a cold or you have morning sickness and you're really struggling with hitting your macros because you just can't physically eat the food that you need to eat to stay within your macros for the day. So what I want to talk to you about today is finding macro-dense foods so that you can hit your macros regardless of being sick or pregnant, because when it comes down to it, it's really important that we hit our macros when we're sick because we need a lot of energy to get ourselves better, but we just don't feel good enough to eat. And then two, when you're pregnant, you need the nutrients. Obviously, you're growing a human, so it's really important that we get nutrients in, but you feel like garbage, so you can't choke down whatever you need to eat for the day to stay within your macros. So here are a few ideas that I want to chat with you about. I got an email from a good friend of mine. She's also a client, and she found out that she was pregnant, and she's like, I cannot eat how I've been eating. I can't fill my macros. So I told her, look for nutrient-dense foods. So things that you've kind of avoided with your fat count, whole eggs, or instead of a half a cup of oatmeal, a full cup of oatmeal, look at those things. So we want to talk about finding foods that are going to be smaller as far as size that it takes up in your stomach, but really rich in macros. So those are a few of the things that I want to talk to you about today. So I suggested to her to find items like that. And if you're sick, do the same thing. So sweet potatoes are loaded with really, really good nutrients and carbs. So I suggested to her, get a big serving of sweet potatoes and add the butter into it that you've been skipping before to hit carbohydrates and to hit fat. Do things like hot cereals, cream of wheat, cream of rice. Those are going to take up a smaller amount of room in your stomach, but they're going to give you a lot of carbohydrates. And you can add fat to that by adding nut butter, peanut butter, butter itself, things like that that you usually don't add into it because you're trying to save that for like a big dinner or for something like that during lunch, something fattier at lunch. But now when you're sick and you don't feel like eating a lot, now is the time to add those things into those types of meals. We talked about having brown rice, long grain rice in her chicken noodle soup. That way you're adding more carbs into it, loading it with some shredded chicken and stuff like that. It's super easy to make homemade chicken noodle soup. You can avoid all of the canned stuff. It's really easy. I'll post a recipe for an awesome chicken noodle soup up here above because it's awesome for flu and cold season. We talked about adding bananas and nut butter or butter to some toast, which is typically stuff that people avoid because they don't want to blow their macros on breakfast. If you've been avoiding yolk in your eggs, then why don't you have a piece of toast with a yolk now so that you can have some fat in there. Do anything that has full fat, cheese, anything like that you can add to like your sandwich or into your sweet potato later on in the day. Things that are going to fill those macros without filling your stomach so big. I wrote down a few, so I'll run through them really quick. Avocados would be really good. Adding avocado oil to your scrambled eggs or whatever you're having for the morning. Peanut butter or nut butter. My girlfriend that emailed me yesterday said that she had a Lenny's and Larry cookie because it was literally the only thing that sounded good. And she smothered it in almond butter. Okay, perfect. If you hit your macros for the day, that's awesome. And she has to get that nutrients in because she's pregnant. So we got to feed the baby. Grilled cheese. We avoid grilled cheese a lot because cheese is loaded with fat, and then the carbs and the bread and stuff like that. Well, now is a good time to have some of those comfort foods that you've been avoiding, because you're not going to be eating 3 meals and some snacks and going to the gym because you're sick. So now's the time to enjoy those types of foods. So you want to find macro dense, that means foods that have a lot of macros that won't take up a ton of space in your stomach, and try and get as close to your macros as you can. Now here's the other side of that. If you're sick, you're sick. Do the best that you can. When you are not sick anymore and you can tolerate food again, then we'll hit the ground running, we'll get you back on track, and it won't take very long for you. So do the best that you can. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Eat as much as you can, because your body really needs that energy, that food coming in to help you repair and to recover. And then we'll get you back on track, rocking and rolling and crushing those goals just like you were before you were nauseous or not feeling good. So that's all I have for you today. Enjoy the rest of your week. I hope you all are crushing your goals, hitting your numbers, and enjoying this awesome weather outside. I'll chat with y'all soon. Bye.